In this episode, we'll do the glue up, prepare the tabletop, and apply the face frames. So last step before the final glue up, I'm going to do a little bit of light sanding to remove any pencil marks with the ETS EC 125/3 and a hand sanding block. I've made sure to relabel my legs on the top where I won't be sanding, and I've also relabeled the panel on the bottom of the panel so I know how it goes back together. For the finish sanding, I'll be using a 120 granite. There's a lot of different ways to approach the glue up process. I prefer to put an even amount of glue on the tenon before I put it in the mortise. So with the sides and clamps, I can go ahead and take the top out of the clamps, sand it down, trim it to size, and then route the edges. So I'll be starting out with a 60 grit granite, jump up to an 80 grit, and then 120 grit to finish it off. So now I've got the top sanded to 120. The bottom side I only sanded up to 80 grit. It'll never be seen, so that's all I need to do with that. Finish preparing the top, I just need to cut it to the correct width. The depth's already set by when we rip these top boards to the precise length. So I'll square it up and cut the other end. With the top cut to size, now I can work on the edges. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch round over bit on this version. The prototype, I use a chamfer bit. I'll do the top and the bottom, and then the sides and the front, but I'm going to leave the back because that's where it butts up to a wall. So with the top completely finished, I can set that aside and start assembling the carcass. I've gone ahead and I've pulled the side panels out of clamps. Before I go to assembly, I'm just going to do a little light sanding to get rid of any of that glue residue, and then we can install the shelves. So my process is I'm going to get one side completely glued up, and then I'll lower the other half on top of that. This can be a little tricky to line up. That's why I always do a dry fit before I apply glue. So with this out of clamps, it looks good. I'm going to do a little light sanding of any glue residue that's left behind or any pencil marks, and then we can start working on the face frames. I'll be using the DTS 400 with a 120 grit granite abrasive. So now I've got the sanding complete, I can work on the face frame material. And similar to the prototype, I'll have narrow stock up top, a wider face frame here and here. I've already ripped it the correct width, I just need to cut it to the proper length. Tested that first piece, it fits great, so I'll cut the other two exactly the same length, and then we can get them installed. To secure these, I'm going to be using some glue and a headless pin nailer. Even though I'm using a headless pinner, there's still some nail holes left behind. Depending on the type of finish you use, there are plenty of good wood fillers out there that will blend in with any finish you choose. For the decorative pieces on the side, I want them to match up with the face frame on the front, so I'll bring those lines right across here. Now that I have it cut, before I attach it, I want to ease some of the edges with a piece of 150 abrasive. So with all those pieces installed, next thing I want to install is the top. If you want to continue with the build, click here or check this out. Don't forget to subscribe. If you want to be notified when we upload new content, click that notification bell.